ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
A controversial takedown by San Diego police. Video appears to show an officer punching a man that they already have on the ground. Good evening. I'm Steve Atkinson.
And I'm Kimberly Hunt. ABC 10 News reporter Anthony Pura spoke with the woman who took the video about why she started rolling.
The video begins after the initial encounter between police and the man at the intersection. The woman who shot the video says she's not sure why police were called out to the location in the first place. At this point, we don't know the circumstances leading up to the start of the video. The video begins with one officer having hands on the subject. Then the other officer moves in, grabs the man. There's a struggle and they take him to the ground. Then,
stop!
You hear the woman recording from her vehicle react as one officer punches the man on the ground. Nicole Bansel says she shot this video at La Jolla Village Drive and Torrey Pines Road around 9 a.m. Wednesday.
As I was pulling up to the intersection, a cop car kind of came up fast beside me, stopped. Two cops jumped out of the car and immediately went towards this unhoused homeless man. For the immediate reaction for cops to start trying to arrest him or take him down, it's just shocking. That's why I immediately pulled out my phone and started recording it.
30 seconds into the video, you hear an exchange between the officers and the man on the ground. The officer saying to stop resisting, the man appearing to say he needs to use the bathroom, and the officers continue to give commands.
Resisting. What are you doing? Stop resisting. Please, stop resisting.
A minute into the video, you see punches thrown by the officers again as they continue to restrain him.
Put your hands behind your back.
The officers are seen throwing more punches as officers arrive on scene and get involved. The video clip would roll for 4 minutes and 15 seconds, capturing more police cruisers arriving on scene as well as an ambulance. Francine Maxwell is the NAACP San Diego branch president. She says the video was sent to them and is concerning.
Caring, comforting. Those officers with those extra blows when they took him down were excessive also to me.
Adding that she'd like to see independent agencies review the officer's actions. San Diego police released a statement saying the officers approached the man because he was urinating in public. The statement goes on to say in part, the man would not stop to speak with officers, therefore an officer held the man to detain him. Despite the officers repeatedly telling the man to stop resisting, the man would not comply. One of the officers struck the man several times. The man was taken into custody and transported to the hospital. Anthony Pura, ABC 10 News.
Police say the man was booked into jail for resisting arrest and battery on a police officer. Internal Affairs is investigating the incident. There is also body camera video being reviewed.
Californians won't be required to wear a mask as of June 15th. Governor Gavin Newsom made the comments during an interview today.
And the mask mandate has been in place since last June. ABC 10 News reporter Laura Acevedo shows us what the county says needs to happen before they follow the state's guidance.
Everything depends on San Diego County's case rate come June 15th. County officials say that if it's low enough, they will follow the state and lift the mask mandate.
The news today certainly does give our entire state hope.
Wednesday, Governor Gavin Newsom said the state's mask mandate, in place for nearly a year, will go away on June 15th.
Will be eliminated, those mandates. There'll be guidelines and recommendations, but for indoor activities, we will still have likely some mask guidelines and mandates.
Newsom says face masks will no longer be required except for things like large-scale indoor convention events. County officials say they'll follow the guidance on one condition.
We will follow the state guidelines, but it will also have to depend on what our local case rates are.
On Wednesday, county officials announcing another milestone. The county's daily case count was under 100 for the first time in more than a year.
That sounds great to me.
For business owners like Johan Ingman, the owner of Breakfast Republic and several other restaurants, it's a sign that things are improving.
That's one, less of a hurdle that staff have to wear, especially imagine in warm kitchens, wearing a face mask is not exactly pleasant.
Newsom adding that as of the June 15th target date, people wouldn't be restricted in any way from doing things we used to do before the pandemic.
So obviously monitor it as we go forward. We'll get some more guidance from the state But I think June 15th is a date a lot of folks are looking forward to.
Laura Acevedo, ABC 10 News.
The CDC's health advisors have given the go-ahead for children 12 and up to get Pfizer's COVID vaccine. And it comes just 2 days after the FDA expanded emergency use authorization of the vaccine to include 12 to 15-year-olds. According to the CDC, the process will be the exact same as for adults, the same dose given 3 weeks apart. Pfizer says clinical trials for this age group resulted in 100% efficacy. The county says it should begin administering doses as early as tomorrow via appointments as well as drop-in locations.
As we just mentioned, the county reported 94 new cases today, the first time in more than a year that we have had fewer than 100 in one day. Our test positivity rate held at 1%. 4 more San Diegans did lose their lives to COVID. That brings that number to just over 3,700. And today is a nationwide day of remembrance for those frontline workers who have put themselves in harm's way to save others.
Victor Cabrera, Mary Abingit.
From coast to coast today, Americans are honoring the nurses who have died from COVID-19. The vigil you see here, this was held at Westfield Mission Valley to honor San Diego nurses. People sat in their cars as names were read off a big screen. The nation's largest nurses union, National Nurses United, reports 400 nurses have died from COVID.
Crews stopped a brush fire burning next to the I-8 freeway this afternoon in Lakeside. It started around 3:30 by the eastbound 8 at Los Coches Road. Firefighters responded quickly and an evacuation order was temporarily put into effect. ABC 10 News spoke with a resident who has lived where today's fire broke out for 22 years. He says that he has seen it all when it comes to fire activity and says having defensible space is a must.
As it rushes up the hill, when there's no fuel, it stops the fire, it stops the forward progression, and it burns around and it looks for more fuel, which is what it's done. It's burned to the east and it's burned to the north.
And forward progress was stopped around 5 p.m. with 5% containment. No injuries were reported. No word yet what caused the fire.
Former San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer wants to eliminate state income taxes for households making up to $100,000 a year. At a campaign stop in L.A. today, Faulconer also said he wants to cut taxes for everyone making less than $1 million.
California has the highest income taxes, the highest gas taxes, and the highest supplemental poverty rate in the United States. And we know that this is having a terrible impact on California families.
Of course, any tax cuts would require approval from the Democratic-led legislature. Faulconer is one of a number of Republicans running in the expected recall election against Governor Gavin Newsom. And fellow GOP candidate John Cox may be in hot water for bringing that bear to his campaign stop in San Diego yesterday. Tag the Bear accompanies Cox at his events. The Humane Society is now investigating whether that broke the city code, which bans bears from being brought into San Diego. There are exceptions, such as legally operated zoos, but the Humane Society's chief of humane law enforcement says that doesn't apply here.
It doesn't matter how well trained they are, where they're from, whether they've been involved in the movie industry or not. The municipal code just does not allow for this to happen.
The matter will be turned over to the city attorney's office. A spokesperson for the Cox campaign says, quote, every care was taken to ensure Tag's comfort and safety with the approval of several government agencies.
In January, the San Diego Zoo Safari Park made international headlines after their gorillas tested positive for the coronavirus. ABC 10 News reporter Rena Nakano brings us this positively San Diego story of their long but meaningful COVID journey.
The first few weeks of January were touch and go at the gorilla habitat at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park in Escondido.
It was unnerving when it happened. We were nervous.
The park's executive director, Lisa Peterson, says on January 11th, the world's first COVID-19 cases in gorillas were found here in two of their eldest apes, 49-year-old Winston and 43-year-old Cammie.
Seniors were the most susceptible for humans too, so you guys are really careful.
Yes, it's their immune systems can start to diminish.
They were lethargic, had runny noses, and had lung problems, all symptoms mirroring those of infected humans. Despite strict COVID protocols, it's believed that the two were infected by an asymptomatic staff member. The 8-ape troop was immediately tested, and results showed Winston and Cammie were positive for the California variant of the coronavirus, but they didn't isolate them from their family.
Because it would add stress if we tried to separate them or do anything differently, we decided to keep them all together.
Instead, the entire troop quarantined together for 6 weeks. Both Cammie and Winston received steroids and antibiotics. In addition, Winston got monoclonal antibody treatment. The others showed mild symptoms but healed just with ibuprofen. And when it came time for special animal vaccines, the 26 doses were given to orangutans, bonobos, and another gorilla troop at the zoo in downtown.
The decision was made by our veterinary team that we wouldn't give it to our gorillas because they'd had the disease, and so they're building up antibodies around it.
The vaccinated apes at the zoo showed no side effects. As for this troop at the safari park, they made a full recovery by Valentine's Day.
The gorillas are doing great. They are up to their old antics.
Despite their recovery, the work continues. Experts are observing this gorilla troop closely to study the disease and its effects on animals around the world.
We want to make sure that we can share that information, because shared information that's power, and that helps us to protect them and then thereby protecting the communities that they might be coming in contact with.
In Escondido, I'm Rita Nakano, ABC 10 News.
Park officials say the animal vaccine company Zoetis is now monitoring the gorillas to see if they can expand use of the vaccine for other species.